Hello, friends. So today in math, you did lesson 10 of unit 3. You did the first part, which was whole number divided by whole numbers. But you got a fraction. And you broke up those waffles. Well, now we're going to move into the second two parts, which is dividing a whole number by a unit fraction. And remember, a unit fraction is like 6 divided by 1/4. And apply this kind of knowledge to real world applications. So in real world word problems. And then we're going to divide a unit fraction by a whole number in our third activity. So I want to pose a little bit of a question to you right now before we even go anywhere. So I have this craft Pinterest project I want to do, and it says I have 6 yards of ribbon. And to make my project, I need to use 2 yards per ornament. So my question is, how many ornaments can I make? So some of you are like, well, that one's easy, Mrs. Crane. You have 6 yards. You're going to divide that 6 yards into 2-yard segments, and you're going to have 6 divided by 2. You're going to be able to make 3 ornaments. I hear you on the other side of this, shaking your head going, I feel you, Mrs. Crane. This is, 3rd grade division. I can hang. All right, I'm going to throw you a wrench. Are you ready? Now I want you to consider that I have the same 6 yards of ribbon, but now each ornament requires a ½ a yard per ornament. What do you think the answer is going to be? Okay, so you might be struggling, and that's good. Struggle means you're thinking. In the first question, we asked ourselves, how many 2s are in 6? And we said there were 3, right? So if I'm looking at this new equation of 6 divided by half, how many halves fit into 6? Chew on that for a second. So what I'm hoping that you're starting to see is that you see half, that equals 1. And you're going to do that until you have 6 yards. So how many halves fit in there? It would be 12. Okay, now why is our answer so big? Because we're dividing the number 6 by a number less than 1. So there will be more than 6 of these tiny pieces. So it's the same as, look, 12 times half equals what? 6, right? Which is the opposite of this equation. So taking that thinking of how many halves are in 6, we also have to go back to that making generalizations lesson where we had to think about the factor being less than or greater than to kind of understand where this all plays out. So how many 8ths, looking at this problem right here, how many 8ths are there in 1? Write a division equation. This is where we're going to understand it by pictures. Write a division equation to show this. So here's a whole. How many 8ths, 1/8, are there in 1? This is an easy one, guys. How many 1/8 are in a whole? Yes, I hear you saying it. So if I were to write a division problem, your answer would be 8. You are 100% correct. But to show a division problem, it would be 1 divided by 1/8 equals 8. Hopefully you're able to see that as a picture. Here you have a whole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Each one of those is considered an eighth. So 1 divided by 8 equals 8. You have 8 eighths that make a whole. Now, how many eighths are there in 3? So it would be 3 divided by 1/8. Here you have 3 objects. Each one of these objects is divided into eighths. How many eighths are there across here? Count them if you need to, press. Hopefully you counted my dots and you got the answer. Why can you also use the multiplication equation 3 times 8 to show how many eighths are in 3? Why do you think that is? Well, let me help you. There are 8 eighths. I'm writing this in words so you can see that. 8 eighths in each whole. I want to make sure you understand this phrase before I move on. In one of these circles, there are 8 eighths. So, there are 3 times 8 eighths in 3 holes. I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to move on to the next part. But how many fourths are there in 5? Think about what we just did. Write a division and multiplication equation to show this. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 objects here, and I want to know how many fourths there are. So first I have to find out how many fourths are there in 1. Well, there's 4 fourths, so here's 1/4 here, right? So what would my division problem look like? 5 divided by 1/4, right? And how much does that equal? 20, because if I look at, there are 5 holes and there's 4 fourths in each one, there's going to give me 20 fourths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Each one of those pieces is a fourth. 5 holes divided into fourths equals 20 fourths. You seeing it? You starting to see it? We just finished dividing a whole by halves. Now we're going to take the unit fraction, divide a unit fraction by a whole number. So we're flipping it around. How do we do the opposite? And I'm just going to go over this example right here, and then we will do another little mini lesson on it in class tomorrow. So Karen's 5 grandchildren came to visit for 3 days. Karen found a long roll of drawing paper. She said, I'll cut this paper into 3 equal parts, and we'll use 1 part on each day. Then she cut the first part into 5 equal parts, so each grandchild could make a drawing. She asked her grandchildren, what part of the whole roll of paper do each of you have? What math problem is this? Make a drawing so Sammy will understand. This grandma's mean. She's making them do math when they're at her house. That's going to be me when I'm 80 years old. So here is the whole. Tommy, the oldest, said, today we're using 1/3 of the roll because we have 3 equal parts. So they're going to be at her house for 3 days. So the first division problem they did was 1 divided by 3, which gives them what? 1/3 for each day, right? How many grandchildren are there? There's 5 of them. Lucy said, when we cut that 1/3 into 5 equal parts, what part of that are they going to get? 1/5, right? So here they did 1/3 divided by 5, because this is going to be 1 for each grandchild. Asha said, but we have to divide each of the other 2/3 into 5 equal parts to find out how many equal parts we'll have in all. So they're figuring for the whole 3 days we're at Grandma's house, how much of this whole are we going to get? That's what they're trying to figure out. That's like multiplying by 1/5. So they're trying to figure out, we're going to get 1/5 of this, but we're going to get 1/5 on day 1. We're going to get 1/5 on day 2. We're going to get 1/5 on day 3, which is 1/3 times 1/5. 1/5 3 times, right? Phoebe said, oh, look, we have 15 equal parts in all. So if they were to take the whole roll of paper and divide it by 5, there's going to be 15 equal parts. So they did 5 parts each day. You see that? 5 parts on day 1, 5 parts on day 2, 5 parts on day 3. So they had 15 parts. So one piece of it, Sammy, the youngest grandchild, said, so dividing by 5 is the same as multiplying by 1/5, because that also means finding 1 of 5 equal parts. Let me say that again to make sure you understand that. Sammy, the youngest grandchild, said, so dividing by 5 is the same as multiplying by 1/5, because that also means finding 1 of 5 equal parts. The children said, so dividing a whole number, W, is the same as multiplying by 1/W. I want you to reread that or pause the video and listen to it again so you can see this, because they really break it down piece by piece for you here. If you were to write anything in your notes, write this, because you'll be able to plug in whatever your whole number is and your unit fractions are to this algorithm. I'm going to do a handful of examples with you because I'm running out of time. We'll do these 4 right here and see if we can plug it in using this algorithm, okay? So half divided by 3 is the same as half times, what would be my W here? So then if I'm doing the multiplication problem, it's going to be 1/3, right? Which equals 1/6. Half divided into thirds is 1/6. Please make sure that you've written this down and you're watching how I'm plugging in the numbers of these examples into this algorithm, okay? So 1/3, look at 19. 1/3 divided by 4, here's my W, right? Equals, 1D is 1/3, times, now I'm going to make my W into a fraction, 1/4, which equals 1/12. I'm hoping that you're starting to see this. 1/5 divided by 2 is the same as 1/5 times what? I heard you say it. Half, which is the same as 1/10. 1/6 divided by 4 is the same as 1/6 times 1/4, which is the same as 1/24. So in class tomorrow, we will do a few more real-world examples with this, but it was the overarching, let me just introduce multiplication and division, how they relate with fractions. Hope you took good notes. It's a lot.